Welcome to Coins News Daily. Today we're revealing the most valuable rare Kennedy half-dollar coins in the United States of America. Rare coins that can make you rich. Don't miss this treasure hunt. Subscribe for more rare coin discoveries and hidden coin values. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks with love for watching. Coin 1. Today we are going to explore a fascinating story hidden inside a small piece of American history. A coin that many people have seen, some may even have in their pockets or coin jars, but very few truly understand its hidden value and mystery. This is the story of the United States of America 1972 D. Kennedy half-dollar. A coin that at first glance may look ordinary, but to collectors and coin hunters it can sometimes turn into a surprising treasure. Before we dive deep into this coin, imagine something for a moment. You are sorting through old coins at home, maybe from a jar that has been sitting on a shelf for years. Suddenly you notice a Kennedy half-dollar. Most people would simply place it aside without a second thought. But what if that coin quietly holds a value far greater than 50 cents? That is exactly why collectors always say never ignore old coins. The Kennedy half-dollar itself has a powerful history. The coin was first introduced in 1964, shortly after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The United States Mint created this coin to honor the memory of the beloved president. From the very beginning it became one of the most emotional and meaningful coins in American coinage history. People lined up at banks just to get one, not to spend it but to keep it as a remembrance of a leader who had inspired millions. The design of the Kennedy half-dollar is iconic. On the front side of the coin you see the portrait of President John F. Kennedy. His profile faces left, strong and dignified. Above his head appears the word Liberty, and around the edge you see the year of the coin. On the back side of the coin is the presidential seal of the United States. A majestic eagle spreads its wings while holding arrows and an olive branch, symbolizing strength and peace. Surrounding the eagle are stars representing the states of the nation. Now let us focus on the specific coin that makes collectors curious, the 1972 D. Kennedy half-dollar. The letter D under the date means that this coin was produced at the Denver Mint. In 1972 the Denver Mint produced millions of Kennedy half-dollars. Because of this large production number, most 1972 D coins are common in circulation condition. Many people assume that means the coin cannot be valuable. But that assumption is not always correct. Coin collectors know that sometimes the true value of a coin is not just about how many were made. The real magic often comes from condition, rarity in high grades, and special minting errors. The 1972 D. Kennedy half-dollar was struck in a copper nickel-clad composition. By this time the United States had already stopped producing circulating half-dollars in silver. That change happened after 1970 when silver was removed from most circulating coins due to rising metal prices. So the 1972 version was part of the modern clad era. Even though the metal itself is not precious like silver, collectors still search for these coins because of certain characteristics that can make them rare. One important factor is condition. Many of these coins entered circulation and experienced years of wear. They were used in casinos, banks, and daily transactions. Because half-dollars were not used as frequently as quarters, many were stored in rolls or bags, but finding one in truly perfect condition is much harder than it sounds. Collectors use a grading scale to measure coin quality. A coin with no wear, sharp details, and brilliant luster can receive a mint state grade. The higher the mint state grade, the more desirable the coin becomes. Coins that reach the highest grades are extremely rare because even a tiny scratch or dull surface can lower the grade. For the 1972 D. Kennedy half-dollar, coins graded at the very top levels are surprisingly scarce. While millions were produced, only a tiny number survived in nearly flawless condition. These high-grade examples are the ones that collectors compete for during auctions. Another reason collectors pay close attention to this coin is minting errors. Error coins are one of the most exciting areas of coin collecting. When something unusual happens during the minting process, the result can be a unique coin that stands out from the rest. One error that collectors watch for is the double die effect. This happens when the design of the coin is accidentally stamped twice at slightly different angles during the creation of the die. When such an error occurs, parts of the lettering or design appear doubled. On a Kennedy half-dollar, this doubling might appear in the word Liberty, the date, or the inscriptions around the coin. Another fascinating error is the off-center strike. During production, a blank coin planchet is supposed to sit perfectly aligned inside the press. If it shifts slightly, the design may be struck partially off-center. These coins look unusual and are highly collectible because they clearly show the minting mistake. Clipped planchets are another possibility. This happens when the metal sheet used to create coin blanks overlaps during the cutting process, leaving a curved missing section on the coin. Such pieces immediately attract the attention of collectors. There are also coins with striking issues such as weak strikes or die cracks. A die crack appears as a raised line on the surface of the coin caused by a crack forming in the metal die during production. While small cracks are common, dramatic ones can make a coin very collectible. Sometimes coins are discovered with dramatic mint errors like a double strike where the coin is struck twice by the press. The result can create a shifted second image that makes the coin look almost surreal. For collectors, the thrill is always in the search. Many people examine rolls of half-dollars hoping to find one of these rare varieties hiding among ordinary coins. The 1972 D Kennedy half-dollar is also popular among collectors because it belongs to an era that is still relatively accessible. Unlike extremely old coins that may cost thousands of dollars even in low grades, these coins can still sometimes be found in circulation or coin rolls. That possibility keeps the excitement alive for beginners and experienced collectors alike. Some collectors specialize only in Kennedy half-dollars. They build complete date and mint collections, searching for the best possible example of every year. For them, finding a high-grade 1972 D coin with strong luster and clean surfaces is a satisfying achievement. The coin also has historical importance. The early 1970s were a period of change in United States coinage. The country had moved away from silver coinage and was adapting to new economic conditions. Coins like the 1972 D Kennedy half-dollar represent the transition period. Collectors often examine the details of the coin carefully. The hair strands on Kennedy's portrait, the sharpness of the eagle feathers on the reverse, and the brilliance of the fields all play a role in determining the coin's grade and desirability. Another interesting aspect is that many people saved Kennedy half-dollars when they were first released. Because of this, bags and rolls were stored away by banks and collectors. Decades later, these stored coins sometimes appear in the market, and collectors eagerly examine them hoping to find pristine examples. Over time, the population of perfect coins becomes clearer through professional grading services. These organizations evaluate coins and seal them in protective holders with official grades. When a coin receives one of the highest grades possible, it can become extremely valuable to collectors. Now let us talk about what many viewers are most curious about: the real market value. Most 1972 D Kennedy half-dollars that have been circulated and show normal wear are generally worth only around $1 to $2 to collectors. Uncirculated coins with strong luster and minimal marks may sell for around $20 to $50 depending on quality. High-grade examples certified by professional grading services can reach several $100s, and the finest known examples in near-perfect condition have reached auction prices of around $2,000. Coin 2. We are diving into one of the most fascinating coins collectors love to talk about. A coin that at first glance looks completely ordinary, yet it hides a story that many people overlook every single day. Imagine holding a simple 50-cent coin in your hand and discovering that it could be worth far more than the number stamped on its surface. That is exactly why coin collectors around the world carefully examine every Kennedy half-dollar they find. In this video we are exploring the mysterious and collectible 1973 Kennedy half-dollar with no mint mark. Many people see this coin and assume it is just another common piece of change. But for collectors, small details on this coin can turn it into a very interesting and sometimes valuable discovery. So if you enjoy rare coins, hidden history, and the thrill of treasure hunting through pocket change, stay with me until the end of this video because the information you are about to hear could change the way you look at coins forever. The story of the Kennedy half-dollar begins after a tragic moment in American history. After the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963, the United States decided to honor him by placing his portrait on the half-dollar coin. The first Kennedy half-dollar was released in 1964, and the coin quickly became one of the most recognized coins in the country. People lined up at banks to collect them, and many kept them as souvenirs rather than spending them. Over time, the design of the coin remained mostly the same. On the front you can see the portrait of President Kennedy facing left, designed by sculptor Gilroy Roberts. The back of the coin features the presidential seal, designed by Frank Gasparo. The eagle holding arrows and an olive branch represent strength and peace, while the stars surrounding the design symbolize the states of the nation. Now let us move forward to the year 1973. During this period, Kennedy half dollars were no longer made with silver. Earlier versions from 1964 contained 90% silver, and later coins from 1965 to 1970 still contained some silver. But by 1971 the coin was switched completely to a copper-nickel-clad composition. Because of this change, many collectors initially believed the 1973 half dollar would never become particularly valuable. However, collectors know something important. Value in the coin world is not only about silver or gold. Sometimes rarity, condition, mint errors, and historical context can make a coin far more interesting than its metal content. The 1973 Kennedy half dollar was produced at two major mints. One was the Denver Mint, which placed a small D mint mark on the coin. The other was the Philadelphia Mint, which at that time produced coins without a mint mark. That is why the 1973 coin with no mint mark was made in Philadelphia. Millions of these coins were struck, but most of them entered circulation and were used heavily in everyday transactions. Over decades many became scratched, worn, or damaged. Because of this, finding a 1973 Kennedy half dollar in truly excellent condition is not as common as people think. Collectors pay very close attention to the condition of a coin. In the coin world this is known as the grade. A coin that has never been circulated and still shows its original mint luster is called an uncirculated coin. The highest quality examples are graded by professional grading services and placed in protective holders. When a 1973 Kennedy half dollar with no mint mark survives an extremely high grade, collectors become very interested. One detail collectors love to examine on this coin is the sharpness of Kennedy's hair above the ear. On lower quality coins the hair details appear flat or smooth. But on high-grade coins the hair strands are clearly visible, giving the portrait a much sharper and more detailed appearance. The shine of the coin, often called mint luster, also plays a big role in determining value. Another fascinating part of the 1973 Kennedy half dollar story involves mint errors. Mint errors happen during the coin production process when something unusual occurs. These mistakes can transform an ordinary coin into a rare collector's item. One error collectors search for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not perfectly aligned with the dies that strike the design. When this occurs, part of the design appears shifted to one side and some of the blank metal remains visible. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more collectors become interested. Another error that sometimes appears is a double strike. This occurs when the coin is struck more than once by the dies. The result can be overlapping images or unusual distortions in the design. These types of coins often capture the attention of collectors because they clearly show the moment when the minting process went wrong. There are also die cracks and die breaks that occasionally appear on Kennedy half dollars. These occur when the metal dies used to strike coins develop tiny cracks from repeated use. When the die cracks, raised lines can appear on the finished coin. While some cracks are minor, others can create dramatic patterns that collectors enjoy studying. Collectors also look for coins with exceptional eye appeal. This means the coin has beautiful luster, strong detail, and attractive surfaces without heavy marks. Even a common coin can become highly desirable if it survives in outstanding condition. The 1973 Kennedy half dollar without a mint mark has become an interesting coin for collectors who enjoy building complete sets of Kennedy half dollars. Many collectors attempt to assemble every date and mint mark from the series, and finding high-grade examples of certain years can be challenging. Another reason this coin attracts attention is because half dollars were not widely used in daily transactions during the 1970s. Many people preferred quarters and dollar bills instead. As a result, large numbers of half dollars sat in bank vaults or were stored away, and fewer circulated compared to earlier decades. for collectors today, searching for these coins can feel like a treasure hunt. Some enthusiasts search through bank rolls of half dollars hoping to discover high-grade coins or unusual errors. Others visit coin shows, online marketplaces, or auctions to find the best examples for their collections. Imagine the excitement of examining a simple half-dollar coin and realizing that it might be a top-quality example from 1973. The thrill of discovery is one of the biggest reasons people fall in love with coin collecting, but the biggest question many people ask is simple. What is the real value of the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar with no mint mark in circulated condition, meaning coins that have been used and show wear? These coins usually sell for about $1 to $3 depending on their condition. In uncirculated condition with strong mint luster, collectors often pay around $10 to $25. High-grade certified examples that show exceptional quality have sold at auctions for around $100 to $300. The finest known examples graded at the very top of the scale have reached auction prices of around $1,000. So the next time you see a Kennedy half-dollar dated 1973 with no mint mark, take a closer look. What appears to be an ordinary coin might actually be a small piece of history waiting to be discovered, and who knows? The coin sitting quietly in a drawer, a coin jar, or even your pocket change today might turn out to be a collectible treasure tomorrow. That is the magic of coin collecting, where history, mystery, and value all come together in a single small piece of metal. Coin 3. We are going to explore a coin that many people have seen but very few truly understand. A coin that quietly sits in drawers, jars, and collections across the United States, yet in rare situations it can be worth far more than its face value. If you are a coin lover, a collector, or someone who enjoys hidden treasures, then stay with me carefully because this story might change the way you look at your pocket change forever. The coin we are talking about today is the United States 1983 Kennedy half-dollar. At first glance this coin may look ordinary. It carries the familiar portrait of President John F. Kennedy on the front and the American presidential seal on the back. Millions of Americans have seen this design since the coin was first introduced in 1964. But what makes the 1983 Kennedy half-dollar interesting is not just its design. It is the story behind its production, the rarity of certain conditions, and the hidden details that collectors search for with excitement. To truly understand why collectors pay attention to this coin, we need to travel back to the early 1980s. In 1983 the United States Mint was producing coins during a time when collecting coin sets directly from the mint had become less common. For that specific year the mint did not release official mint sets to collectors. This decision created an unusual situation. Most of the coins from that year entered circulation immediately instead of being preserved in mint condition. The 1983 Kennedy half-dollar was produced at the Denver Mint. The small letter D below President Kennedy's portrait shows that the coin was struck in Denver, Colorado. Millions of coins were produced there during that year, but very few were carefully preserved in perfect condition. Because of this, collectors today often struggle to find examples that still have strong luster, sharp details, and no wear. The difference between a circulated coin and a pristine uncirculated coin can mean a huge difference in value. When you hold a typical circulated 1983 Kennedy half-dollar, you may notice small scratches, dull surfaces, and worn edges. These coins were used in everyday transactions and passed through many hands. But the rare coins collectors search for are those that somehow avoided heavy circulation and still shine with their original mint brilliance. Now let us talk about what makes certain examples of this coin far more valuable than others. One of the first things collectors examine is the quality of the strike. A strong strike means the coin's design details appear sharp and fully formed. Look closely at President Kennedy's hair above the ear and near the forehead. On a well-struck coin those lines appear crisp and defined. On weaker strikes the details look flat. The eagle on the reverse side is another important detail. The feathers on the wings and chest should appear bold and clear. If these areas are sharply struck, collectors become more interested. Next comes the mint luster. Fresh coins from the mint reflect light in a beautiful rotating pattern when tilted. This effect is called cartwheel luster. Coins that still display strong luster after decades are highly desirable. Another factor that collectors pay attention to is the condition grade. Professional grading services evaluate coins using a detailed scale. Coins with very high grades often bring strong prices at auction because they are extremely difficult to find. Now let us discuss something that excites collectors even more than condition: mint errors. Errors happen during the minting process when something goes slightly wrong in production. These mistakes can turn an ordinary coin into a rare collectible. One possible error is a double die. This occurs when the coin's design is imprinted twice at slightly different angles during the die creation process. When this happens, you may see doubling in letters or numbers, especially in the word Liberty or the date 1983. Another interesting error collectors search for is an off-center strike. In this case, the coin was not properly aligned when struck, causing part of the design to shift toward the edge. Off-center coins can be visually striking and highly collectible depending on how dramatic the shift appears. Clipped planchets are another type of error. This happens when a piece of the metal blank is missing before the coin is struck. The result is a curved missing section along the edge of the coin. There are also coins with die cracks or die chips. These appear as raised lines or bumps caused by small fractures in the metal die used to strike the coins. Some collectors love these unusual marks because they make each coin unique, but even without dramatic mint errors, the 1983 D Kennedy $50 has an important characteristic that keeps collectors interested: high-grade scarcity. Because mint sets were not sold that year, far fewer pristine coins were saved by collectors at the time of release. Decades later, many coins show wear, making top-quality examples much harder to find. This means collectors compete for the best-preserved coins. Auctions sometimes feature exceptionally well-preserved pieces that still shine almost like the day they were struck. Imagine opening an old coin jar inherited from a relative and discovering a bright 1983 D Kennedy $50 that looks nearly untouched. For a collector, that moment can feel like uncovering a small piece of history. The Kennedy $50 itself carries deep historical significance. The coin was introduced shortly after the tragic loss of President John F. Kennedy. Americans embraced the design as a tribute to a beloved leader. Even decades later, the coin remains a powerful symbol of American history. Collectors appreciate not only the value of these coins but also the stories they carry. Every coin travels through time, passing from person to person, through shops, banks, and collections. Some coins remain ordinary, but a few become rare treasures. That is why coin collectors always encourage people to check their change carefully. Hidden among common coins, there could be a valuable piece waiting to be discovered. So if you ever come across a 1983 D Kennedy $50, take a moment to examine it closely. Look at the shine of the metal. Study the details in the design. Check for unusual marks or errors that might make the coin special. You never know what you might find. Many ordinary circulated examples trade for only a small premium above face value, but collectors are willing to pay far more for coins in exceptional condition or with rare mint errors. And now the moment many of you have been waiting for. Let us talk about the real market value. A typical circulated 1983 D Kennedy $50 usually sells for around $1 to $3 depending on condition. A bright uncirculated example can sell for around $15 to $30 in the collector market. Coins graded in very high mint state condition can reach auction prices of around $200 to $400, and extremely rare top-grade examples certified by professional grading services have reached auction values of more than $1,000. That is the fascinating story of the 1983 D Kennedy $50, a coin that many people overlook but collectors quietly search for every day. So before you spend your next $50, take a closer look. That small piece of metal might just be more valuable than you ever imagined. Coin 4. We are diving into a fascinating story hidden inside a small piece of American history. A coin that many people have seen, some people have even spent without thinking, but collectors know that certain versions of this coin can be extremely valuable. Stay with me because today we are talking about the United States Kennedy $50 from 1998 with the P mint mark, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance but can surprise collectors with its rarity, special varieties, and impressive auction prices. The Kennedy $50 has always been one of the most beloved coins in the United States. It was first introduced in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination. Since that time, millions and millions of these coins have been produced, but collectors are always searching for the rare ones, the unusual ones, and the coins that stand out from the rest. The 1998 P Mint Mark Kennedy $50 is one of those coins that deserves a closer look. Before we go deeper, take a moment to imagine something. What if a coin sitting in your pocket, a coin that many people ignore, could actually be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars? That is the excitement of coin collecting. Every coin has a story, and sometimes those stories turn into serious value. The 1998 Kennedy $50 with the P Mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. The P Mint mark stands for Philadelphia, one of the oldest and most important mints in the United States. While millions of coins were struck that year, collectors have discovered that certain examples are much more desirable than others. Now here is something interesting. During the late 1990s, the popularity of $50 in circulation had already started to decline. People were using them less and less in everyday transactions. Because of this, many coins went straight into storage at banks and Federal Reserve vaults instead of entering circulation. That means finding high-quality examples in circulation today can actually be harder than you might expect. The 1998 P Kennedy $50 is made from a copper-nickel-clad composition. It contains layers of copper and nickel bonded together, giving it the familiar silver-colored appearance. The coin weighs about 11.34 grams and measures 30.6 millimeters in diameter. The obverse side of the coin features the portrait of President John F. Kennedy designed by Gilroy Roberts. Around the portrait you will see the word Liberty, the phrase "In God We Trust," and the date 1998. On the reverse side you will see the powerful presidential seal design created by Frank Gasparro. An eagle with wings spread wide holds arrows and an olive branch while surrounded by a ring of stars. The words United States of America and $50 appear along the rim. At first glance, this coin might look very common. But collectors know that condition is everything. Coins that remain in pristine condition, especially those graded mint state 67 or higher, become extremely rare. Many coins from circulation show scratches, bag marks, or wear. Finding a nearly perfect coin from 1998 is much more difficult. One of the things that makes the 1998 P Kennedy $50 exciting for collectors is the possibility of mint errors. Mint errors happen during the production process when something unusual occurs at the mint. These mistakes can transform an ordinary coin into a highly collectible piece. For example, collectors search carefully for double die errors. A double die occurs when the coin design is impressed onto the die more than once at slightly different angles. When this happens, certain parts of the design appear doubled. Letters in Liberty, numbers in the date, or parts of the motto can show noticeable doubling. These varieties are highly sought after by collectors. Another interesting error that sometimes appears on Kennedy $50 is an off-center strike. This happens when the blank coin planchet is not properly aligned when the die strikes it. As a result, part of the design may be missing while the rest appears shifted to one side. Off-center coins can be dramatic and visually striking, making them very attractive to collectors. There are also clipped planchet errors. In this case, the metal blank used to create the coin is improperly cut, leaving a curved piece missing from the edge of the coin. When that blank is struck, the final coin shows a distinctive missing section. These coins are easy to recognize and can be very collectible. Another error collectors search for is a broad strike. This occurs when the coin is struck without the retaining collar that normally shapes the coin's edge. Without that collar, the metal spreads outward, creating a coin that appears wider and slightly thinner than normal. Even small die cracks, die chips, or unusual surface patterns can attract attention from experienced collectors. These tiny details may seem minor, but in the world of coin collecting they can significantly increase a coin's desirability. Now let us talk about rarity in high grades. Many 1998 P Kennedy $50 were produced, but only a small number survive in near-perfect condition. Coins that have sharp details, brilliant luster, and almost no visible marks are extremely difficult to find. Professional grading services carefully evaluate coins and assign grades that reflect their condition. Collectors compete fiercely for coins graded mint state 67 and above. These coins often appear as though they were just struck yesterday, with glowing surfaces and crisp details that make them stand out from ordinary examples. Another fascinating aspect of this coin is its appeal to Kennedy half-dollar series collectors. Many collectors attempt to build complete date and mint mark sets. When someone tries to assemble a full set of Kennedy half-dollars in high grade, certain years become surprisingly difficult to locate. The 1998 P coin in exceptional condition can become a key piece in those collections. Imagine a collector searching for years, checking coin shows, auctions, and dealer inventories just to find the perfect example to complete their set. That excitement and dedication is part of what makes coin collecting such a passionate hobby. There is also growing interest in modern coins with strong eye appeal. Some 1998 P Kennedy half-dollars show beautiful satin luster and clean fields that make them stand out under proper lighting. When collectors see a coin with exceptional eye appeal, they are often willing to pay much more for it. It is always important to check your coins carefully. Many valuable coins are discovered in old collections, bank rolls, and even loose change. While most 1998 half-dollars will be common circulated pieces, the possibility of finding a high-grade example or a rare error keeps collectors searching. Now let us finally talk about value. A typical circulated 1998 P Kennedy half-dollar usually trades for around $1 to $3 depending on condition. Uncirculated examples with strong luster can sell for around $10 to $20. However, coins graded mint state 66 have sold for around $40 to $80 in collector markets. Exceptional coins graded mint state 67 have reached auction prices of around $200 to $400. Rare mint error examples such as dramatic off-center strikes or strong double die varieties have sold for $500 to more than $1,000 depending on the uniqueness and condition. And the most remarkable high-grade examples certified in near-perfect condition have reached auction results close to $1,500. So the next time you see a Kennedy half-dollar dated 1998 with the P mint mark, do not ignore it. Take a closer look. Examine the details. Check for unusual features. Because hidden among ordinary coins, there is always the possibility that one special piece could be worth far more than anyone expects. Coin collecting is more than just money. It is about history, discovery, and the thrill of the hunt. And sometimes, the smallest treasure can tell the biggest story.